Giving me instructions.
Yeah.
This is Cameron. This is my 1969 Alfa Romeo Spider, and it has the original fuel-injected engine, 1750, and giving me instructions so that I can do what? Explain this to me. And
We're just going to make minor adjustments to the atmospheric compensator and the thermostatic actuator to make sure that we're getting the right amount of fuel for the altitude that we're at.
Okay, and you had previously done this, right? But now it's just a few days later, and just to check it. Is that part and parcel of running the car properly? Is that
Checking it right now would be good to just verify that our repair on the thermostatic actuator is holding and that it's working and that everything is continuing to go smoothly. I'm going to make one tiny adjustment while I'm in there just to make it run like 1 or 2% better, but other than that, we're not going to change anything.
okay? This is kind of a little bit for my edification. I should buy one of those tools that you got in your hand. Is that
Oh, this is just a ratchet with a 10mm socket. It's nothing.
okay? Which I don't have, but
But it's just those two nuts off of the top, and then I use 2 screwdrivers for this step because it helps me out. I use the Phillips head to hold the clamp in place here so that it can't spin when I go to take it off.
Oh,
And
I
then-
see.
Then spin the flathead to loosen it, and that way it just doesn't get away from me when I'm
Right.
trying to work on it. And then
are those magnetic or?
no, they're not. But you don't have to take the screw all the way out of these guys. You just need to loosen it so you don't need to worry about dropping things.
Okay.
Um,
And these are getting a nice even color, it seems. So
yes, they are.
that's a nice plus.
Yep, indicative of a good tune. So we're doing well there.
I mean, it was riding so well. I mean, and these have not lost any fluid here, as you can tell.
Mhm.
So but
Yeah, it is leaking, but not extremely quick.
so could I drive it tonight or no?
I wouldn't recommend driving it. Brakes
Okay.
are the kind of thing you don't want to risk because if they just decide not to work,
Then
you
you're
don't have
fucked.
any way to stop the car.
Okay.
These 4 rubber lines right here
Yeah.
are just vacuum lines to the intake. They help the car idle. So we're just gonna pull those guys off of their fitting. There's nothing holding them on there. They just pull off
Okay.
these 4 little hoses.
Entirely off?
Just off the side that the intake is.
Oh, okay. I got it. I see.
And then we'll take this silencer end off.
I am finding that the muffler sound is better, but it's not as loud as that.
They're not going for loud. They're going
Okay,
for a good crisp sound and nice performance. They're taking advantage of some complex.
And I noticed you did tighten up the muffler below, or it looks like any gap has
does that
been.
gap look better?
Oh, to me it does, yeah.
So I just undid this clamp here.
Okay,
to this
underneath, I
big
see.
air hose that runs to the bottom of the intake.
All right.
And then this guy's ready to come. Just
Now,
flip over.
should I ever be expected? Under what circumstances should this be something I should be doing?
If you die on the side of the road.
If I die on the side, okay. So if I don't have any, okay, that means I got to get those tools in my car then. Apparently,
Yeah, if something's happening that the car's not starting, you can't get it.
this is going to be. So I got to learn this.
This is an emergency procedure to save you on the side of the road.
Okay, and when it just flat out dies, this is what I'm. And what am I looking for? We haven't seen it
I
yet.
haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
You just got to be a little careful pulling this out because there's
Yeah.
vacuum lines attached to the bottom.
Oh, I see. You
So
want
we're
me to
gonna
grab
pull
that?
this one big one off of there.
You need another hand? No. And that is the infamous or the famous Spica fuel injector.
Now this is just the intake.
Intake. Oh,
The
Spica.
injector
Okay.
Is here. So this is that lever that we were talking about. This is your altitude compensation or your temperature compensation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
And
it does both because all it does is add or subtract fuel. So you could use it for altitude or for temp, really, whatever you pick. This is the N for normal, so that's that setting there. And you just bring it around until the lever lands in that detent.
Oh,
to
that-
tell you, so now you're on cold, and then over to the detent one more time, now you're on full.
okay, wait. So that's normal.
Yep.
So
Normal, cold, and frozen.
normal, cold, frozen. What? I can't read that.
It's just the letter C.
Oh, that's a C.
Yep.
Okay, and then that's frozen. And then what's it set on now?
Right now it's set to frozen.
Okay.
So
And that's
whichever way
because
the lever's
the lever's pointing. Okay, so you're going to point it to normal now.
Yep. So
And
I'll
now
flip it
because
back around.
that's temperature, but you said it associates with altitude as well.
So temperature changes how much air the engine gets.
Okay.
Altitude also changes how much air the engine gets. So you can adjust either with this.
So for high altitudes, should it be at cold or at normal or
Normal. So
Okay.
colder means more fuel, hotter means less fuel.
Okay.
And since we have less air, we can't add as much fuel. So we need to be on the lowest fuel delivery setting
Okay.
to make it tuned properly. For
Okay, and that's where it was when we started, right? You were just moving
When
it.
I had first touched the car, it was on frozen.
First touched it, meaning a while ago.
Yes.
Okay, and that therein lies what the problem was. It was stuck. It was on frozen,
That was just
and it was a bad actuator.
Yeah, that was just a minor contributing factor. The real problem is the actuator.
And that's what Wes rebuilt and sent to us.
Yeah. So if you look down here,
Yeah.
there's a reference screw right where my finger is.
I see your
It's
finger.
on.
Yeah.
And this armature needs to be a certain distance from the end of that reference screw while its control rod is disconnected. So we're going to take a flathead and be very careful with these little plastic sockets, but we're going to try to pop the armature for the throttle off the pump.
Dude, if I had to do this on the side of the road, I mean, I would be fucking. I mean,
This one's a little easier with pliers.
Do you want
To
pliers?
save the
No.
time. I'm gonna try to get behind it, just because it's old plastic, and I don't want it to break it.
you're doing surgery down there.
So now that rod is detached, and you'll see that that arm is really close to that reference screw that it needs to be close to.
God, it's all Greek to
Give
me,
you a little
dude.
more light so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the reference screw
And that is closer
to
to
this
the-
arm.
Oh, I
So
see.
see how the arm comes up and then it's
Yeah.
real close to that when it gets
Yeah.
to its resting position?
Okay.
That screw should never be moved. It was placed in there at the factory. That tells you how to tune the car. It should never be touched, adjusted, or ever messed with. It is just a reference for where this arm should
Oh,
go.
I see. Okay.
That's it.
So thus far, this is edification only. I'm not gonna ever need to adjust that or do anything there. Thus far, all I know is to adjust this, as temperature changes. So when it gets freezing here, I suspect I'm going to move that to cold or freezing.
Yeah, if you drove it while it was freezing outside, you'd get a little better performance. You'd get a little more power if you set it to the freezing setting.
When it's cold.
Mhm.
But
It would run
normal
good.
winters out here, should I leave it on normal or?
It'll run good at normal anywhere on this altitude
Okay.
because it's stuck in a condition where it's always going to have a little too much fuel, never not enough.
So thus far, this is all just interest level, not anything that's going to save me at the side of the road.
But if this armature is too far away from that reference,
Away at all.
yeah, any more than like an eighth of an inch, a very
But
small.
it's clicking now, so I mean, the spring is keeping it in place, right?
Yeah, the spring keeps it in place, and then the throttle moves it so that it can
Give
adapt
gas.
on the fly to give you lots of extra gas as soon as you punch the throttle.
And I think I figured out where the fuel pressure light went on periodically. It was when I needed to downshift.
Okay.
That makes sense. If I'm bogged down, it's probably not getting enough fuel,
That could be.
and it's only periodically.
So this is the thermostatic actuator sensor that I just pulled out. You have to be very careful of this little
Wire.
hose. It's a hose.
It
it's
is actually a
hollow.
hose.
So
Oh,
if you
wow.
were to kink it,
It would
cause
break.
problems.
It
Yeah.
would cost another $500.
Yep. And so down inside of that hole that I pulled the sensor out of, there is a flathead screw. You see it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So the position of that screw is what's going to determine the position of this arm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a teeny tiny bit less fuel with one
So
quarter turn out.
And that had the effect of slightly moving that other thing.
Yeah, now it's going to add a little less fuel. And the arm is going to be slightly closer to its reference screw.
And how did you know a quarter turn versus a half? Just experience over time? And
Yes. So like it took 6 turns to get it from where it was to where it is now. And
Oh.
so 1 quarter turn is a very finite adjustment compared to...
like 5% or
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. And then all that this sensor does is as the temperature here changes, it makes the rod on the end longer or shorter and pushes that screw down.
Interesting. And that's primarily how all the mechanics in these early cars work. They use temperature to adjust the mechanics, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, generally speaking, I mean, that's all they have to work from. As things get hot,
Yeah.
it moves something and that moves something else, and it's like a fine,
These
like
are
a watch.
mysterious machines to people because they are pre-computer, but they have logic.
Yeah,
So
but the
it's-
logic is limited to primarily working off of things like air pressure or...
They actually
or
use electrical resistance
Interesting.
for a lot of it. So, like what this sensor is a resistor-based temperature sensor or a thermistor. And basically what it's doing is as the temperature changes, the resistance of the wire changes, and you can just drive this sensor basically off of that information. Actually, this one's not electronic at all. This one's just driven directly off of actual pressure generated by the heat, but the other sensors are thermoelectric.
Were you able, when you took the other one back, the core, were you able to see why it wasn't working out of curiosity? Was it completely failing or 10% failing or?
It completely failed. They fail, if they fail into...
It's binary. It's
Yeah.
it's failed or not failed. It's not.
You can tell if it's failed by measuring the length of the armature that comes out of the sensor after heating it in boiling water.
Did you happen to do that or?
I skipped that diagnostic step because I was told that there were other diagnostic steps that you could do by both Wes and the guy that does the rebuilt parts.
When they
told
get it.
me that if this armature was out of spec at all, I should just replace the sensor.
Straight up,
Regardless.
don't go to the, because I did read that to prove that I am doing some homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's how you test it, and I saw a video on it. And
The other thing on this car that would be useful for you to know is that if for some reason, and it shouldn't do this anymore because now it's tuned correctly and not putting too much fuel in the car, it floods on startup. It doesn't catch and you fill the cylinders with fuel and then you can't get it to start. You can take the intake off and remove this electrical connector. If you remove that electrical connector, then start it, it'll probably start. That's the cold start solenoid.
Oh.
And so that's also adjusting fuel at startup.
Okay, so that's the first thing that you've discussed of so far. Of everything else has been informational that you will do, but you're telling me that if one day I try to start it and I'm having problems, and I call you and you're too busy or not around, I simply take this piece off and then start it,
And then plug
attach
back
it
on and
while
put it
it's
back
running.
Yeah, you can do it while it's running. You just want to make sure that you don't touching it in hot. Or
Okay, so you can turn the car over with nothing here.
It'll work, yeah, but it's not ideal for the car. It's an emergency step.
Okay, so how do I put everything back together? So I got the car started.
Now we're done with all the complicated stuff, and we're on to the downhill, just putting it back together.
Okay.
So that's every adjustment.
Now you can't put it back together when the car's running, right?
You can, yeah.
But
it's
you
just
should.
hot and a little scary.
Okay. So this is interesting, but I mean, it doesn't seem like anything I should dare try unless
No, and
you
now that
hold a
it's
gun to my head.
Setting the temperature lever and the thermostatic actuator, those shouldn't need to be moved unless a part is failing. So if they have moved or if they need adjustment,
There's another part involved with the.
yes, they'll just be a symptom to the cause, not the cause. So it's really just a way for you to tell, oh no, I've had a problem with my fueling. If you're ever, like, you take it on a road trip and maybe I'm not the guy who's working on it. Or
Well,
something
let's
like
hope
that.
that's not ever the case.
Actually, I forgot the step. So.
Because I got to tell you, I don't think I'll ever find someone as patient to learn, this vehicle.
It's so sad to me because I love cars like this that it is such a
Dying art.
Such a dying art.
Yeah, but it's just more opportunities for guys like you to figure it out, and and there's got to be. Oh, I didn't ask him what type of brake fluid. I'll reply and ask him.
Okay. Armatures are hard to get on.
So will I notice when I do drive this car tomorrow afternoon or whenever you get the brakes working again? Will I be able to notice any?
No.
Okay.
If I made this change correctly, you won't notice a thing. You'll just have cleaner spark plugs every day. That's all right. I got it. There's just a lot of things to line up at the same time. So. And one thing, if you do ever have to take this off, that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten on cars. Put everything together before you tighten anything.
Oh.
That way it's easy.
Yeah, no, I even sort of knew that.
Now I'm just gonna do everything I already did in reverse, tighten up these boots, put the intake back together.
There is an interesting video I found. I was going to share it with you. We can either watch it together, or it was basically everything you should check on these cars before buying them. And I have to assume that the shop that did the PPI, kind of looked at it, although.
They, I can tell you honestly, likely wouldn't have checked anything unique to an Alfa Romeo.
They just
only
didn't.
checked things that like.
Then I want to show you that video. Then.
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'll pop it on. Is this video done for the most part, or should I press stop? Okay.
Well done.